Hey, what's going on, guys? Xbox Online channel, host Sega Forever here, going live. Gonna do an all-in chat video. Sorry, guys, let me get situated. I'm kind of going off the cuff here. Had a lot of stuff to do this morning, knocked it out. But I did watch the preview program. I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys did. And I just wanted to give my thoughts on it, have a little bit of a chat. Let this kind of run for a couple minutes. See if anybody jumps in. Try and get the guys that usually pop in. The usual suspects come in, and then we'll get the podcast started. We got not too much to talk about. But spoiler alert: I thought the preview program or the partner program, sorry, the showcase that Xbox did this week was actually pretty good. And which isn't surprising, dude. They always knock it out of the park, dude. If I'm being honest, right? There's nobody that can touch them. I mean, PlayStation has their stuff, Nintendo has their things, and it's interesting to me because a lot of people, if they're being honest, when it comes to these showcases, they should be critiquing PlayStation showcases as well as Nintendo showcases. And I mean, mostly in the media or the general audience, they tend not to do that, right? Because it's the popular brands. Not the best brands, in my opinion. If you guys know my channel, you guys know that I think the Xbox is top tier industry leader as it should be. It just needs to hurry up and take its place and the echelon of gaming. Because if you have Nintendo and PlayStation's being the most popular, quote unquote, popular brands, right? This industry is gonna go stale, and it shows, man, because they don't put out a lot of showcases. And look, if you're a Nintendo guy and you like what they put out, fine. If you're a PlayStation guy and you like what PlayStation puts out, that's fine too, man. But in the same breath, man, don't be coming over to the Xbox side and critiquing their showcases when your guys' showcases don't even come close. And this was no exception. Again, Microsoft hit this bad boy out of the park. Look, they're in their flow, they're in their rhythm. If there's one thing that I like that Xbox does, I mean, there's several things I like that they do, but showcases and events are second to none. There's nobody that can touch them, right? And this is why a lot of times, man, I talk about people having this derangement syndrome when it comes to Xbox, because if they're being honest, if they're being fair, they would get Xbox their showcases their due, right? And you can go online and see it on YouTube. There's a lot of people that will stream Xbox because Xbox showcases now because that's the only people putting out showcases. PlayStation don't really put out stuff, and when it does, it's bad or it's short. And then some of their fans they'll complain about it, right? But they don't hold them accountable for the reason why PlayStation showcases are the way that they are. Why Sony doesn't go to these events anymore, like Xbox does. Like I said for years, if Xbox wanted to, man, put the time and effort and money, they could actually bring back E3 just for themselves. And this showcase is a perfect example, right? Because if you looked at, I think it was like 15 games they showed. We'll try and go over all of them. There's a lot of them that stood out to me that I really liked. And this is par for the course when it comes to Xbox. Like if you're a guy like me, that's in the Xbox ecosystem, which I just rock out with Xbox, right? I'm on Game Pass. I buy my games, right? Physical and digital. Physical if I can. Now it's getting harder for me, but if you're doing this kind of stuff, man, you already know this stuff. I'm preaching to the choir when it comes to how Xbox is just continuing the tradition of what gaming should be, right? So when you look at this, when you look at the plethora of games that they had, 15 games across the spectrum, right, of what to expect from Xbox as a company, as a brand, for consumers and fans, right? It's untouchable, man. There's nobody else doing that. They have indies, they have double A, they have triple A, right? They have variety, they have every genre. It's so much so that they have games that are multiple genres. When you look at the type of games that they have, like one of the games that they had, your boy, man, I'm getting old, dude. I can't remember every single thing. But there's this game. Let me see if I can find it. Dude, just had a ton of games. Grave Seasons. When you look at it, it kind of looks like a throwback, like a retro game, like an 8-bit game as far as the graphics. But when you actually watch the video, dude, it's crazy. In fact, we'll probably go over that because that's one of the games that interested me the most. It seems like a part sim, part cozy, part action, right? A little bit. It looks like it might have some RPG elements. But that's the level to which Xbox operates now, right? And what it is, it's a reflection of the industry as a whole. So if you could, like, this is why I rant all the time on my channel, dude. If you say that you're a gamer, dude, this is the place to be, because you're gonna get all that kind of stuff, right? And I know people on the PC side get that as well. You know, if you're into PC, that's cool. You know, you do you, right? But at the end of the day, man, when it comes to gaming, dude, Microsoft's right there, dude, and they're pushing the envelope forward. Always have been, always will, right? Like for example, I just saw that the Xbox, right? You know, all the crap they were getting for the price increases, right? And then PlayStation, they went ahead and increased the price of the console. And I don't keep up with PlayStation. You know, this just general gaming news, right? And that's what I mean. It's talked about, but it's not talked about in the way that Microsoft and Xbox is. Sure, there's people that are not going to be happy. Most consumers won't be. Most consumers are not. Dude, we're getting squeezed left and right in this economy right now. You know what I mean? And so that's the reality of it. But you know, nobody's losing their mind. You know, when Xbox did what they did. In fact, there's people out there trying to blame Xbox, right, and Microsoft for this, when it's actually just the economy in general. And I'm talking about not just the cost of everything, supply side, all of that stuff, right? You know, we became too dependent on certain markets. We limited our own industries, and now that we're trying to course correct, this is the nature of the game, nature of the beast. And the only thing I can tell you guys is what I do, man. I just buy what I want to buy, and then you know the things that I don't want to buy, then I don't. You know, that's how I participate in the economy. If I go to the store and you want to charge me a certain price that I think is ridiculous, I'm not going to buy your stuff. I just won't participate in the economy. I do that with gaming. I do that when I go out to eat. I went out to eat at this one local spot. You know, it's pretty good. You know, it's not the best, man. It's more like a comfort food place, some place that you go if you're on the go, if you're craving like noodles and stuff like that. You know, the noodles are pretty decent, right? Pretty good. You know, they're not the best. There's other top tier places on the island, right? But it's convenient. It's easy to get to. There's usually openings. Man, you have to deal with all this kind of stuff. Eat at this place, dude. It was expensive. Like they raised their prices exponentially, right? And the problem with that is it's not that I don't like their food and stuff like that, but their food isn't is it doesn't it, it's not of the caliber where you're paying that much money. So I ate there, didn't realize that the prices had gone up that much. You know, we already sat down, we're already drinking the water, doing all the thing, and you know, we ordered, paid the bill, and I'm like, oh, never coming back here again, right? Because it was that expensive. Dude, their prices was like 75% more than what it was. And for the type of food that is and the quality that it is, dude, that's you might as well just go to a more upscale restaurant and pay that price and get better quality of food. And that's what I'm talking about, dude. And it's happening in every sector, right? So, you know, to sit here and see a lot of these hypocrites now just give, you know, of course, and again, you know, man, Xbox, it pulls all the views, right? It is the industry leader just for the simple fact that they're the only ones that's constantly focused on, right? They're the elephant in the room, right? Even people that hate them do videos about them, cover their showcases because there's nothing out there. There's only Microsoft, there's only Xbox. That's what's kind of upset me with um, what happened over the last 2 years. I think Xbox missed an opportunity with that to try and because you already had the eyes on it, you know, and they had great, you know, they, aside from a few, and I won't even call these missteps, right? I mean, if you have an Xbox like I do, have the games, have Game Pass, I have all this stuff, dude. It's all gravy, right? There's nothing really bad going on. There actually for us, it's nothing bad with Xbox, right? But of course, everybody calls you a fanboy and stuff like that. And it's not that. If you're a gamer, dude, you should be here. Okay? And a lot of people, that's what they, you know, they lose their minds. And when Xbox was like maybe out of the year, people complain at least 1 to 3 things from Xbox, but it's blown up so badly it negates all the good stuff that Xbox has been doing. And Xbox has been doing this since 2015, like nonstop, right? But again, like I told you guys on my other videos, man, they don't focus on the narrative. And that's a missed opportunity to me because there's a lot of eyes on there, and then you see people's opinions kind of change because they're actually having to watch the showcase because there's nothing else to talk about, right? And they have to give Xbox, and I'm talking about the audience, the general audience, the people that not only do video game stuff, they do like animation. They talk about anime. They talk about all these, you know, all this stuff. They're in pop culture. They're coming over because there's nothing else. And then when they see the game, they're like, "Oh, that looks interesting. That looks cool." South of Midnight was one of those games, right? That was drawing people in. Hebot says all the time, Indiana Jones, right? Like he references John Campion, right? John Campion is a PlayStation guy. His forte on YouTube is movies. So he likes Indiana Jones is one of his favorite movies. Then he realized he'd have to buy an Xbox. and you bite the bullet and you buy the console. And that's what I wish Phil and the crew would have focused more on. Right, and of course you saw in the news, everybody's saying that Asha Sharma is the one that killed this. This is an Xbox marketing campaign. She got rid of that. And again, credit to her, man. I see the direction that they're going in, right, and what they're trying to do with the brand. I'm all on board, but I'm also like, trust but verify. Don't tell me, show me, right? And so from what I'm seeing, right, but then there's something else that I saw at the showcase. Probably the one thing I negated, so I'll give it a 9 out of 10. You guys know me, man. I'm usually 10 out of 10 because again, and it's not just fanboyism, bro. It's just nobody does what Xbox does. Nobody brings the people together. Nobody puts on blast a lot of these studios, a lot of the no-name studios, right? A lot of the people that get lost in the mix. They're there. They're trying to grow the community, not just for themselves but gaming in general. That's why again I get irritated with them because I'm like, dude, if you're doing that, you might as well just take over and put these other people out of business because they're in your way and they're slowing us down. Like I say 100 million times, right? They're taking us backwards, right? A lot of you guys are like, well, we need the competition. There is no competition, dude. There is none. It would be a competition if Sony and Nintendo were doing the same things that Xbox is doing, but they're not. And Nintendo they've never been like that, so they're not even in the race. I don't even mess with Nintendo guys because they're off in their own little world, which is cool. You do you be over there, right? But the ones that we have to deal with is those sycophant Sony guys, dude. I'm telling you, man. Like I said in my last video, those guys are ruining the industry. Right? And if Xbox wants a fair shake, man, they're gonna have to deal with this. Right? And it's sad to me, man, because you see a showcase like this, and you realize that, you know, all the work, everything you put in, all the flowers that you should be getting, man, all the kudos you should be getting, man, all the awards you should be winning, right? The industry should be revolving around you, and it's not because you don't address the elephant in the room, which is, you know, the hate that's out there for your console and your brand and your company, right? It's a triple threat, right? They just hate Microsoft and everything about Microsoft. And like I like to use the quote, man, if they, you know, let them hate, but as long as they fear. But again, I give it a 9 out of 10. One problem I had, as always, man. Again, I know what Asha Sharma is saying. I see the steps that they're taking. But if there's one thing I critique the showcase on, man, is they gotta get rid. When they show the game, and at the end of the game, they show the systems that it's coming out for, dude. They should take off all the other stuff and just put Xbox, right? And I get it. There were games that were like that, so that's definitely shows that that's Xbox. That's probably gonna be on Xbox only, right? But I don't watch the showcase because I don't care if it's on Steam. I don't care if it's on PlayStation, and I don't care if it's on Nintendo. This is the Xbox showcase, and I get it. It's a partner preview thing, right? And so maybe they talk to the partners, and the partners want to get as much, exposure, get as much people to buy the game. I get it and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, man, this is not helping the brand recognition, and it hasn't been. So if you're gonna get rid of this is not an Xbox, or this is an Xbox campaign, then you gotta go 100% on all of this kind of stuff, right? Because you're telling me that you're gonna focus on the Xbox console, the Xbox brand, the Xbox console, or the Xbox console as a brand, right? That's what you're gonna focus on. If you do that kind of stuff, that's mixed messages, right? And on top of all the other crap that goes on in the gutters, online when it comes to the console work, right? All that other stuff, right? But I'm pretty much numb to that. That's why I'm more ultra focused on what Microsoft is doing, what they're saying, what they need to do, in my opinion. You guys might not, but you guys might not agree with me, but that's the way I feel, right? In my opinion, what are they doing, right? And that's the one thing they need to get rid of, right? In fact, here, since we're talking about it, I'll just show you. We'll share screen, right? Hold on 1 second. Let me share this. And let me blow this up. Shout out to Unlimited. I know he did a podcast. I'm trying to catch up with it. I was trying to listen to it this morning, but I had an appointment. Let me go big screen on this. So I'm going to play this really quickly. I'm going to play this video because this game looks phenomenal to me. This is the type of game, I talk about. A lot of people, when they ask me, oh, why for example, like I spend a lot of time on Xbox. You know, when they used to give the hours and stuff like that. But when you look at my gamers, not game, what is it? Our achievements and stuff like that. They say a lot of people will say that's low, especially for somebody like me. But number one, I lost my original account, so that's number one. So I lost all those years. I had to start all over. That's why before I wasn't Sega forever. I was Sega for life, right? And that's from the old NWO days. You know, if you guys are thinking, is that from WCW? Yeah, that's from back in the day, right? And so then I had to change it to Sega forever. I don't know what happened to my account anyway. I redid that, so I basically had to start from zero, right? And then what happens with that is a lot of the times it's in the way that I play, right? And some games that I play, man, they're just absolute time sucks, and you don't get achievements for that type of play. I don't care though. That's why I told you I'm not an achievement hunter. That doesn't matter to me, right? It's cool when you get them. I have no problem with it, and I don't have a problem if you are, and that's how you build your world. That's fine with me. Dude. I do my own thing as well. There's stuff that I do that people don't think is weird or don't like. You know, like for example, I watched on Netflix, man. I'm making a point every. You know, I told you guys I did a video talking about my New Year's resolution that I want to kind of clean up some stuff, right? Whether it's the way I watch movies, some of the stuff on my watch list, some of the stuff on my playlist when it comes to gaming, all of that stuff, dude. Trying to revisit some of the music, trying to listen to some of the stuff my daughter's doing, having discussions with my daughter on gaming, but she's looking at getting into the industry. That's why I've been playing different other type of games when I can. It's kind of hard, but I want to have these conversations with her. So last night, dude, I watched this movie called The Flood, and it's on Netflix. Again, it's a Korean movie, and it's a really good one because it was something that I was not expecting from that movie. You know, I just thought it was going to be like a natural disaster movie. When you watch the trailer, you see that there's the main character is trying to escape. She's in an apartment building. Everything's flooding, right? Tsunami. First, I thought it was a tsunami. Then I watched this other trailer. I was like, oh, it looks like it's probably something like the polar ice caps is melting and stuff like that. So I just thought it was going to be one of these movies, like San Andreas with the Rock or something like that. Something kind of light, fun to watch. So I watched it last night, and it was nothing what I thought it would be like, right? And I'm glad that I watched it. Right? So I'm trying to get back to that level. So the type of content so my point being, the type of content that I like, a lot of people would probably don't like or find weird. Right, so I'm gonna play this. We're gonna watch this trailer together because I actually did like it for this game. Shout out to game trailers. They're really good here. And these are the kind of games that I play. Like, that's why it takes so much time. Right? The cozy games. Right? Like I'm playing Star Tsunami right now. Playing that nonstop. Okay, here it comes. Right? So wish this now. So you know it's on Steam, right? Here you got your Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo. Bam. Okay. Which is fine, right? This is game trailers, right? They're what do we call that? They're non-denominational, I guess, is the best word I could come up with right now, for lack of a better word, right? So they show, right, that it's all going to be on here, right? Mind you, this wasn't at the showcase. My daughter showed me this because she knows I like these kind of games, and she thinks it looks cool. Plus, she's been to Japan and she loves the convenience stores there. So now, then we come to this. This is the trailer. This is the trailer for Incombini, right? One store, many stores. Now, this is, as you can tell, PlayStation, right? Can you guys see that? Hold on, let me see. So this one is for PlayStation. So this is on the PlayStation channel, as you can see. And the reason why I showed this, right, is because my daughter was looking for the different trailers. Right? And she was trying to find the one specific one, and and it was on game trailers. So anyway, so you saw what you see on game trailers. Now this is the one on PlayStation, right? So it's PS5, the guys that make it, and whatever this is, right? Okay, PlayStation logo, right? Now, as you can see here, right? It's not just PlayStation, it's Nintendo and it's Xbox and Steam. But if you go back to the PlayStation, right, it's just PlayStation 5, right here, right? So for me, that's a problem, right? That's a problem because if it was on here, wait, hold on. As you can see here, Xbox Partner Preview, right? And you see here's all the games, and we might look at some trailers too, guys. So you're just looking; these are all the games that they're showing, right? If you guys don't go to Xbox Wire, dude, if you're Xbox, if you bleed green, if you bleed green, you should get your news from Xbox Wire. Xbox Wire is a great site, and it's more than just because it's Xbox; it's just a well put together site. Right? You see here. So now imagine that Incombini, right, was on here, right? When you click on it, dude, and if it's coming to multiple, if it's coming to multiple, as you can see here, multiple consoles. If it was on the Xbox Showcase, you'd see this. You probably all everything that is going to be available for, they would put it on there, right? And but if you go to the PlayStation, if PlayStation has a showcase and shows it, this is all you're going to get, right? And I'll be honest with you, dude. I don't. This is not a problem I have with PlayStation. PlayStation will do PlayStation. Again, I tell you guys 100 million times. If this game, I really wanted to get this game, like I really, really want to play it. So I'm glad, I want to play it. I'm glad it's coming to Xbox. So I'm glad we watched the game trailers YouTube channel. Because if I just watch PlayStation, which you guys know I don't watch PlayStation, so I'm just giving you an example, right? If I were to watch PlayStation, I would think it's only be on PlayStation, right? And again, I'm not downing Sony for this. This is actually how you do business, right? So that's not the problem that I have that Sony's doing this. My problem is Sony does this and then Xbox is not doing this. Is my big problem. That's the only knock. That's why I take 1 point off for. That's why I don't have a 10 out of 10 on the showcase, but a 9 out of 10. Again, man, this stuff matters, dude. It just does. When they're sitting there looking and they realize that they got to pivot, dude, they got to look at everything. It's more than just people not buying. It's more than just people not recognizing your brand. There's that problem. It is a problem. But this is also a big problem, dude. Again, if I'm an Xbox guy, I don't care that it's coming to PS5, right? If I want a PS5, I go buy a PS5, right? I have no problem doing that. I was a multi-console guy for the longest time, even though I was a huge Sega fan. That transitioned to Xbox, and then Xbox became the system of my choice. Sega went the way of the dinosaur, right? And then it became a publisher, fine. And then I found more of my gaming style and lifestyle and the way I like to do stuff on the Xbox brand. Right. So if they're asking themselves, if they realize that this is an Xbox isn't working, they should actually look at this as well. Because this is also, to me, part of the problem. You don't have to worry about, like, to me, don't worry about Nintendo. Don't worry about PlayStation. I know you guys got the PC with Steam and PC got some stuff, whatever, Xbox. That I'll let that go, right? But at the end of the day, man, when it comes to this kind of stuff, because contrary to popular belief, man, this is the reality of a console war, right? And it's not going to go away, man. There's people that console war is dead, this and whatever. Console war is dead when Microsoft kills off Sony and just takes over the industry. Like it's doing all the heavy lifting. You might as well get paid for it. You know what I'm saying? It's like allowing them to hang around. And I know there's a lot of people because what you're dealing with, dude, is not really gamers. You're dealing with a bunch of generational brand lovers, right? They grew up on PlayStation, so much so that they don't even realize their own bias. It's just always been PlayStation for them. I'm an older generation, guys like me, Hebon, and Sega Man. We're the older generation. We grew up in a time when gaming was more than just consoles, right? So we had that transition from arcade to console, or to home console, right? And that was our reality. Then PC came into the play, right? And then technology started getting better and gaming started to evolve, industry got bigger, all of that stuff too. But we remember a time when gaming was about gaming. What you have in gaming now is just brand. It's all about brand. So if you're Xbox and you wanna shift the narrative when it comes to this is an Xbox, right? You gotta deal with this. And I don't know if this was already in the cards. This is why they keep on doing this. right? Or maybe they have a deal with the partners that they have, right? That say, okay, we'll put our games on there, but can we do it this way? And then Microsoft agrees with that. You guys need to squash all that. Because I'm tired, dude. I'm tired of downloading a game on Game Pass. That's not built for console, number one, and that has bugs and issues, right? When we get it, right? Because they don't focus on Xbox, right? Because the narrative Xbox is dead. Xbox doesn't consoles don't sell. All of this crap, right? Regardless of what Microsoft does, right? And then we end up being second fiddle to the PlayStation, right? Which is ironic because even though they supposedly have all these units, nobody still buys games over there. I could get it, dude, if you drop Beanie and it sells 15 million copies. Then if they decide they're gonna focus on PlayStation, then hey man, that's more power to you. But just because you have more units out there and you're in more areas, you still have to sell the game, right? And this is the irony of it, right? Because when you look at the numbers and stuff like that, I mean, with the economy being as it is, man, Xbox guys buy their stuff. I know I do, and I think that's why they're making this conscious choice, man, because those numbers changed and dropped. Something happened, and I'm just guessing here, dude. I'm not an insider. I don't know, but if you have to ask me, if you're, like, I'll give my opinion. Says this is my channel, and I can't. Right? I think that something happened where people were not participating in their ecosystem the way that they usually do. And there's a lot of other stuff besides all the console crap, right? People are going through stuff right now. I get it. But at the end of the day, it was noticeable that they shifted, right? So if anybody at Xbox is listening, dude, you know, when it comes to the showcase, we need to get rid of that. I would get rid of it personally. Like this game Dispatch, right? Totally interested in this game, but it went to PlayStation first. So what did I tell you guys on my channel, right? Oh yeah, I'll check it out. It's gonna be on Game Pass, I think, right? Oh no, is it? It's the full collection of us episodes arrives in summer on Xbox Series XX. Da, 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 da. Xbox Play Anywhere title. That's cool. You can learn more about this narrative adventure. But I believe it went to PlayStation first, right? So which one was it? Was Goldman one of them? I think Forever Go. This trailer was pretty awesome. All right, this is another one. All right, let me click on this. Oh wait. Not sure. Not that one. Oh no. Sorry, my bad. Annapurna. I thought it had all the other ones. Well, some of them are like that, right? Oh come on, man. Let's come on, Xbox. Come on, Microsoft. Let's get beyond this, man. Oh, what's up, Anthony? Sorry, brother. I was on the other one. Cheers to you, bro. 2953. What's up, brother? Yeah, sorry, I was off on the other screens doing my thing. But thanks for being here, Anthony. Let me know, man, what you thought of the showcase if you had a chance to watch it. I gave it a 9 out of 10. Again, I just ranted a little bit. That's the only problem I have with it. But everything after that, totally fine. Actually, pretty amazed, and we'll go over it a little bit. Some of the stuff that I liked. In fact, am I sharing this tab? Hold on, guys. Am I sharing? Yeah, we can go over this real quick. But let me know, man. If you guys come in the chat, man, let me know. Let me know what you guys. Sorry, I was ultra focused on my rant, so I was bouncing back and forth. Oh, 8 out of 10? Yeah, it was pretty solid, dude. I mean, so they have the formula down, right? Like I say all the time, dude. In fact, I should, I just want to give them their flowers when it comes to the production value. They used to get hell for their showcases, which I like their ever since Phil took over. The showcases have just gotten better and better and better, right? But to be fair, man, they're the only ones that do showcases like this. Because before, back in the day, right, they would have people talk about stuff, right, and then people complained about that. So then they readjusted that. Then people were complaining it was too long. So what you see that Microsoft does, right? Is they just basically just drop the trailers and it's one after the other, right? For these partner preview stuff. I like the other format that they use as well, right? Where they have the people come and talk about their stuff, right? I think they were getting a lot of hate for the last couple ones, right? Because they were including other consoles and especially they were including PlayStation in that. And that's probably why they switched this format to this way, which I think is smart. They just need to stop doing all that crap, dude. Right? Focus on yourself, focus on your own console, focus on your customers, focus on your consumers, focus on your fans. Like just do that. Right? Don't worry about PlayStation guys. Because the people that they want to reach out to, man, they're not gonna buy your stuff, dude. So what Xbox needs to do, in my opinion, is dominate this stuff and give don't give people a choice, and then just try and pick up because that's what they're trying to do. You have a new generation coming in, just pick up that generation, right? But you're gonna have to change the narrative, man, because when these other potential customers came in, all they get inundated with is Xbox sucks, Xbox is gonna die, don't buy an Xbox. They're gonna sell the brand. Microsoft is bankrupt. Right, which ironically, Microsoft stock is down, and it's down exponentially, right? So when money, and I'm not saying Microsoft is suffering, but it's something that they're probably thinking about, right? So when you're in that situation now, when you got to think about money, right? Again, they're not broke, right? I'm not trying to say that, but what I will say is that if that starts to become a concern, then you're gonna have to adjust anyway, right? Man, Satya, just take over, right? Just take it over. Focus on the new generation that won't know this crap. Look, I'm experiencing that with my kids right now. The stuff that I'm concerned about, the stuff that I grew up knowing, that's all going to pass away because our generation is passed away. I don't know if you guys pay attention to entertainment news like I do, but there's a lot of people that are passing away that a lot of us know. When they used to do the in memoriam section of awards programs, or when somebody would pass away that you knew, it was few and far between. You might have known a celebrity, right? But right now, we're all getting up there in age, our generation. And I know a lot of you guys that are above 30 that mostly listen to this podcast, right? So you guys are on the younger side, but for guys like me, Hebot, Sega Man, right? We're on that older generation, dude. I watched Star Wars, the first Star Wars in the movie theater when it released on the release date. I was there. My dad took me. I had to go watch that. I watched it in the theater in Waikiki, right? That's how old I am. So a lot of the stuff we experienced, a lot of people we grew up watching, idolizing to some extent, movie stars, entertainers, sports athletes, and stuff like that. A lot of these guys are passing away, man. Icons in these industries that we celebrate. There's some people passing away, which I find sad, that are younger, from a younger generation that people in their 30s might know, right? And again, that's the circle of life, right? And it's important, right? Because it reminds you of your mortality, which is important, right? We all, as they say, death and taxes, right? We all have our time, right? But our stuff is eventually passing away. There's some things, that my daughter knows just because through me, or my son knows through me. But if it's not because if it wasn't for me, they wouldn't know half the people out there, and they don't know most of them, right? So if I was to bend Asha's ear, I would tell her that's the generation that you got to win, right? And Phil knew this. Phil said the generation that they lost coming into that digital age, right? Sony dominates the narrative so much that's why you see a lot of the bias, right? Because the people that do it, they don't see their own bias. And I'm talking in the gaming media, in the regular media, in the gaming community, all they know is PlayStation. And you had a generation of people raised on Sony, and that's all they know. So that's all they want to know. Right? And then you got their prick, toxic fan base that you got to deal with. So that's what you need to do. That's what you need to do, man. You need to squash all this. Anthony says the flow of the showcase was great, but I was hoping for more Japanese games. Maybe they're holding it for TGS, Anthony. There's supposed to be supposed to have a bigger footprint at the Tokyo Game Show. Now, given what's been going on with Microsoft on the business end, I don't know. Plans have changed. We have a new head of the Xbox division. Right, the person that we all thought was gonna be the heir apparent, Sarah Bond, right? She resigned. So never say never, right? That's why I always tell you guys keep your head on a swivel. But that was a big change. So what we're doing with Japan moving forward, I don't know. And Japan as a country and their industries, not just not just their industries, but as a country is going through some stuff right now, right? They elected a new prime minister. They're a little bit more internalized now, which I don't have a problem with. I think that's actually good for their culture. They're becoming more internalized. They're turning inward like they normally do, and they're going to ultra focus on their stuff. So how that affects us as gaming, I don't know. You still have, it's good to see some of these developers now. They want to actually, be that international market, and they want to make that money. So you see them shifting. Square Enix has been putting a lot of stuff out, right? And I actually got to go. I'm actually thinking about buying the Monster Hunter series, the stories, because it looks really cool, right? Because I've been going through all oh man, what is that? Shoot, I forget who does that. Like the guys who do One Piece, they did the tank one, the sand one, and then they do the Ghibli ones. Dude, why am I drawing a blank? Great games, right? I love the quality. I love the way they do it. That's right up my alley. Did you guys know I watch anime? And then I'm reading manga now, so totally right up my alley. I'm like you, dude. Whatever Japanese stuff we can get, cool. I just don't like the way we kowtow to them as a industry, or basically as an Xbox brand as a company, right? I like, and because we've been we've been left holding the bag a couple times, right? I mean, and then people will tell, I know you are different, Anthony, like me. We buy our stuff if we like Japanese games and stuff like that, but how many people are actually buying them, right? I think we give them a little bit too much clout, right? They'll come around eventually. Yeah, I think Phil and Sarah did a great job building those bridges. Hopefully that continues. I like to see more stuff coming, right? We're still the biggest market, so hopefully they'll open up. But again, there's a lot of stuff in flux in Japan that could affect this industry, right? Like you saw what Sony's doing. Sony had to do the same thing as Microsoft had to do, and that's what I'm saying, guys. People, we don't live in a bubble when it comes to this, or this industry is not as diverse as people think it is, right? It moves on trends, right? It studies the numbers and stuff like that. When Xbox does something, and anytime Xbox does something, everybody else is going to do it. And it's not because of Xbox; it's just the way the industry is. Xbox is the biggest. Well, they're the big man in the room. They're the big man on campus, whether people want to acknowledge that or not. So they don't have no problem shifting like they did, right? Because they're looking at the hardware, they're looking at the cost, they're looking at all that kind of stuff, and then the reality sets in, so they shift, and it provides like an umbrella and a blanket for the other two companies. But I don't want them to do that anymore, man. I don't care about the other two companies. Let them stand on their own, dude. Stop letting them, ride off your coattails. Because I think they have this idea that the industry benefits when everybody's involved, and I'm like, no, no, not if those other guys are holding you back. Not if those other guys are detrimental to your own brand. And that's what has been going on for the last 10 years. I know Phil tried his best, take the high road, be the good guy, and it didn't work out, obviously, right? Because you can look, dude, you can lead a horse to water, but they don't have to drink, right? For a lot of you guys that follow a lot of the stuff going on in the world, you see that too, man. So sometimes you gotta just put your foot down, right? If you wanna do what you wanna do, I don't know, right? Like I said, I see Asha, the stuff she said and what she's doing gives me hope, right? But I mean, if you think you're going to continue to do this kind of stuff that you're doing, when reaching across the aisle, extending the olive branch to these people, man, you're going to get smacked in the face, right? And that's on you, but it's affecting me, right? At the end of the day, right? Why am I not getting these games day one, right? Why are these games not optimized for my console, right? Why do we have to bow and kowtow to these industry, the business side of the industry, whether it be the media, right, the developers, publishers, all that kind of stuff. Microsoft. I don't know if you know this, but you're $1 trillion company. You should start using some of that power. I'm all for it. I don't. Right, people will be like, "Oh, you're just you know, stupid, old school." I'm like, no, dude. I want them to dominate because I like what they do. And if given the chance, again, if you change the narrative, given the chance, a lot of people will like it too. Because when you look at what a lot of these people will talk about, man, they don't know anything, right? Right? They're just getting their information from the gaming media, which is bad. But sorry, Anthony. Yeah, so I thought, like for example, we can go over some of these games real quick, dude. I agree with you. Yeah, I always want to see more Japanese games. I have no problem with that. Hold on. All right. So we did get a couple, and the one that I'm looking forward to the most, you guys know I'm a Sega guy, so of course it's going to be a Sega affiliated game. Dang, Hades 2 looks really good. Where is it? Yeah, Stranger Than Heaven. This game. Can you see it? Can you guys see it? Let's see. You forgot about it. I don't know how much story is going to be in there. I like it. Thanks for the attention, community. Always see more. Always see 1965. Now, I don't know if they're going to show every single one. This is first, yeah. Keep talking. Weird, but I'm out. Yeah, dude, that looks super cool, man. That's probably one of the games you guys know. So, Yakuza, was it Infinite Wealth is in the Game Pass, and that made me fire that game up. Besides, I need to make my quota, 8 Game Pass games to get my points. And not that I wasn't gonna, I actually downloaded it right when it came out. I had it on standby, right, because I'm playing other games. Like I finally played Warhammer. What is that? Two, the one that released. Dude, that game is awesome. And I know it's gonna be awesome, and I know Heba talked about it, and the other guys played it, and they said it's awesome. And it's not that I didn't think it was gonna be awesome, but then again, man, I've been working a lot. So I finally fired that bad boy up, and again, I'm kicking myself because I should have been playing that a long time. Well, I should have bought a day one. Did not buy it yet either. But definitely gonna pick that one up. In fact, I think it's on sale now. I gotta go look. I just have, dude, I got so much stuff going on right now. Plus, man, where I live, dude, we was getting like it's sunny today. It's nice and blue. You know, the postcard weather that everybody wants when they fly to Hawaii. Dude, we were getting drenched the last 2 weeks bad. Like we had major flooding. It's funny because when the volcano erupts or the hurricane comes and they put it on the news, people are like, I have people on the mainland that I know checking on me. That's basically right. But this was just what they call Kona winds come in, and it did more damage than the last couple events that we had. And it was bad because man, I live on an island, so it rained. There's a storm front that came in. We call it the Kona wind come in, Kona South blew in, and so it comes from the bottom of the island chain. Most of the stuff comes from the top or from the left or the right or from the top over. Right, it's very rare that the Kona ones are as bad as they are, and they came in and they just drenched the island. And then we had like about I say like 4 or 5 days. Some areas of the islands were worse than others. And then once that was done, we had a stall. The weather was still kind of gloomy. They had a couple of days, like a couple moments of sunshine piercing in. Because this is Hawaii, dude. Sunshine is its selling point, right? Then another storm front came in. It wasn't as bad as the first one. The first one was bad. But because when you live on an island, dude, and then the rain only has so much, the ground can only suck up so much rain. And then the water only has so many places to go. and that made it worse too. So it was like 2 weeks of that dealing with that. Right. Thank God I lived in an area that was not as affected, but a lot of people, dude, homes were lost. I felt sorry for this couple on Maui, man. They did that was their retirement home. That was their dream to move to Hawaii and retire here, spend their last days here. And they had built near a river. And they weren't near a river. They were like 65 feet. They were away from the river. Right. But because the rains were so torrential, dude, that thing swelled up and it ate their house. It was crazy. They had it. They were recording it. They showed it online. I was like, dude, that's. I feel so bad for them because they're an older couple. But I mean, the one cool thing is the community coming together. My point being, I was busy, right? So sorry, if I'm being honest. Okay, so wait, hold on. Let me close this. Let me see. I have a PlayStation Store on my computer. Yeah, so this gives me hope, man, because I'm like you. I'm like you, Anthony, man. I think we could do more when it comes to Japanese, definitely, right? But I think I mean, again, don't have to kowtow, man. Make it on our terms, right? Again, I like all credit to Phil and Sarah. They built those bridges, right? But again, dude, Japan is not the end all and be all of gaming, right? And if they were, I would say so, and I have no problem with that, dude. I have no problem if they were, but they're not, right? Everything's in the West now, right? Even I saw an article today how China dominates. Dude, China can't dominate, man. Their government won't let them. Dude, you let that anything in China that gets really popular, man, the government comes in and shuts it down, right? Because they can't have that, right? It's all about their government and their system, right? You can't have anything be too successful. That's why they shut down that dude Jack Ma, man, because Alibaba, bro, right? And he had to get course correction. Dude, right, the Chinese don't mess around, dude. They don't. So you know, re, re, just remind yourself who runs this industry, dude, and it's on the Western side. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care that people have an affinity for stuff. It's not like me, man. I love Korean dramas. I tell you guys, I think Korean pop music, man, is a throwback to Motown. It's a throwback to the '90s R&B soul that they had back in the day. That's why that's why so many people are gravitating toward it. Because if you look at, especially in the '90s, if you look at the '90s, or even in Motown era, man, if you look at that time, dude, that was something that changed an industry, right? And the creative powers, the industry insiders, all of that stuff that came out of that was amazing, and you were ground zero for that stuff, and you saw it in real time. That's why people have such an affinity, and keep on going back to it and looking at it. Dude, that's what K-pop is right now. They're transforming their industry off of that because it's based on that kind of stuff, dude. Hip hop and R&B, a lot of their stuff, right? Because they had a generation of people in Korea that grew up on that stuff. And now you see them diversifying like we did in the U.S., especially in the '80s and '90s. Like they have their own industries that are going through that are growing, going through their changes, expressing themselves in different ways, and they get the benefit of learning from what we did. That's why K-pop Demon Hunters is such a big success, right? Because a lot of the stuff we make here, we're going in a direction that a lot of fans or a lot of even the general audience do not like when it comes to our animation. And then you have anime, right, which fits a certain genre, and then you have something like K-pop Demon Hunter come along that revisits why people like animated movies. Like, look, I watched that one, the Wilderness one. That was pretty good, right? But at the end of the day, you can tell the story that you want to tell, but you have to keep it. You have to remember that you're writing for an audience, and that audience is usually um, normies, parents, and kids, right? But if you look at how Demon Hunters did it, dude, there's a lot of depth to that movie. But yet on the surface, it's very popcorn fun, exciting. A lot of different. That's why it appeals to a lot of different people. That's why it's been so successful. This is probably one of the few times where Hollywood got it right, with the awards and stuff like that. Now Hollywood plays it up. They want to say first Asian this and all that kind of stuff, man. But I mean that does nothing for me because number one, I'm not Asian, right? But number two, I live in a predominantly Asian environment where I live. That's number two. Number three, I've been doing this stuff for years. That's why I tell you guys, I was pissed off when Marvel did Shang-Chi, right? And I said you should have did Marvel Shang-Chi, not I want to appeal to the Far East or the Asian audience Shang-Chi, because they don't need us to make them Shang-Chi. They have their own industry. That's the see that's man, that's so frustrating to me. I was like, bro, you're not gonna come in and do a martial arts movie better than them, right? And that's how ignorant those people are, man. Because they're like, oh, we gotta represent. We dude, that's like such a backhanded thing too. Is like we need to represent for Asians, right? Even though they're dominating. Dude, every streaming service now has a K drama, and you know why? Because K dramas are popular, right? Now you might not like it, or you might not watch them, or not might not even know. But there's a majority of people that do, right, and are watching it. The only negative coming out of it is that some of these people who are fans, they watch it and they want to make it like what they want. And if the people are smart in Asia, there's and which they are, they make it like you say with Japan right now. They'll make it what they want to make, and if you want to come along for the ride, boom, they're more than happy to bring you in, right? But if you're a person that want to come in and be toxic and destructive, then they don't want anything to do with you. Right? And Japan learned a very hard lesson last year, and they're not making that mistake again because they tried to reach out to the West, try to conform, try to not conform. It's a bad word. Try to meet their fans in the West on halfway and realize these people are psychotic. Right? And they're not even fans, to be honest with you. They're just people that live on the internet that have agendas and they want their agendas to be represented. Meanwhile, when they want respect for their agenda and their lifestyles, they have no respect for the creativity of the people that actually create the artwork that they supposedly are fans of. Right? They want their representation. They want to see themselves. All this crap, right? And then Japan said no. Right? And Japan's saying no on a lot of things, right? This is why, again, when I'm talking about the Tokyo Game Show, let's be us, right? Because I believe in that, dude. Like you make the stuff that you make, and then the people that want to hang with you, they'll come along and do it, right? And that's something Xbox should realize, and Microsoft. So Asha, they should realize that, right? There's a lot of people that just don't like you guys, right? That's not saying you have to be mean, but you guys got to do you. You do you. Again, that's why I like what you said, right? With Xbox, focus on that brand, and then if the people want to rock out with you, let them come along, right? But if they don't, then that's fine too, right? But don't like be yourself, man. Just look. This is we're Xbox. This is what we do. This is who we are, right? And if you like it, cool. If you don't, well, maybe, if you try somebody else, then come back around, right? That's the way I would do it, dude. I'd be like, yeah, you know what? This is what we do. This is how we are. Look at our showcase. 15 games, every genre across the board. Multiple games with mixed genres across the board. Dude, we're touching every single thing. Triple A, double A, indie, right? Some of these indie games could be 1A or double A. Some of these triple A games or some of these double A games can be triple A games, right? They're giving you everything and giving you choice, and then you decide what you want to do. But again, you're doing it all right. You're putting all that work, man. But you're gonna have to do the dirty. You're gonna have to get in the gutter a little bit and course correct these people. And by these people, I mean the media that don't give you first way. I forgot who I was watching, man. I'm not trying to. I think it was Plume. Was it Plume? Or it was one of the three. I was watching Plume. I think Chaos Lounge or that other dude, the Xbox guy. Man, sorry guys. I'm trying to be. I'm just old. But and the reason I'm throwing that out there because I don't watch kind of funny games, so they made a reference about Greg Miller not liking the showcase, right? Which isn't surprising to me, man. That's why I don't watch these guys at all. Again, but the hypocrisy of what he said, right, with the showcase being the way that it was, because these are the same guys that complained about the previous showcases. Like Microsoft did a lot of soul searching, right, when Phil took over, and they listened to a lot of the critiques, and they made a lot of changes, taking all that stuff into consideration. And look where they are. Look what that got them, right? I mean, I think with Phil they found themselves, but catering to these people is not gonna. And what I mean by catering to them is just like trying to include them in this. They don't want to be included, dude. They just want to complain, and they just want you to die and go away. And where does this leave somebody like me? That's why I'm so straightforward about this. I see what they're doing. I know what they're about. But for some reason, Microsoft is not seeing that. Hopefully, I'm wrong, man. I hope I'm wrong. I hope they do see it because I think it's important. Yeah, but yeah, Alien Death Storm. This look cool. Rebellion's going to be working on this one. Artificial Detective, dude. I like the premise of this. I like the way the game looks. Right? There's this little dog character that he has, reminding me of Recore a little bit. I think they're gonna have some of that elements in there, dude. Too bad we never got a sequel to Recore. Ascend Zero. Did they show this, man? I can't remember what it is, to be honest with you. I'm gonna have to go revisit that. Normally, that's why I come to Xbox Wire, guys. I just come. They line it up like this, and you can just go down and watch the trailers if you missed it. Now, Dispatch. Dude, this game looks so I love it. Great trailer, by the way. Probably one of the best trailers in
Oh my god.
Oh, sick. I didn't do this.
I feel like you've said that a lot in your life.
They're coming. Somewhere. Right. Sorry, guys. I think I lost it. Hold on. And you know your boy, dude. You know I'm about to. Let me share this again. But I saw that, dude. I just like the premise of it. I mean, how good the game is. Looks like it's you're going to be controlling. I don't know how much involved in the action you're going to be. Hopefully, a lot. Can you see? Share this tab. Okay. Yeah, I should see it. I don't see it though. Hold on. At the stage. There we go. All right. So that one stood out to me. Oh, bam! Dude, people are giving crap about this Bluey. Dude, look, dude, these things are popular. This isn't made for the average gamer. This is made for the average consumer. Goldman, dude, I love this. This trailer was awesome. This game looks amazing.
The inhabitants of the archipelago had quite a range of ideas about who ultimately would come to save them. But even their gloomiest pessimists could never have imagined they'd be pinning all their hopes on a ridiculous old man. Undoubtedly, he was a spry old fellow for someone so clearly beyond his expiration date. But still, what could anyone honestly expect from a walking fossil? Maybe he'd pester everyone with endless questions, or trace his finger across his maps, which are no less ancient than he. But you'd have to be downright bats to think he'd actually defeat anyone with that funny little cane.
I love being negative.
Of course, one can blindly hope that certain creatures might rather choose to withdraw, if only out of immense respect for the age-old wisdom of the venerable reanimated museum exhibit.
I gotta lie, this looks hard, man.
But most won't be surrendering without a fight.
I feel it in my bones. I love this.
On the other hand, isn't that how every ancient geezer recounts the story of his life? Dramatic, fantastic, as if every trivial excursion were transformed into a series of trials, and every new day brought inevitable pain. And were this life eternal, there would be no end to the suffering. It's true what they say. Some people get so old, they simply forget to die.
Look at that artwork. I love that. Some people get so old, they simply forget to die. That's a good tagline. That one's on my radar. Dude, I don't know how I feel about The Expanse because I actually watched the show, and then those last couple of seasons, man, they were pretty rough. Started off strong. Yeah, so Goldman, that's one on my radar. What else we got? Forever Ago. This looks really cool. Annapurna, right? Wait, hold on, who is it? Yeah, it is.
There's nothing to be afraid of.
I'll wake at dawn today when I'll see my lover sleeping.
One jump at a time.
You're doing
Yeah,
great.
good graphics.
In a world that's wrong, can't deny it.
Makes me so mad. Sorry, I'm to the bottom.
Life is about
I'm
stories,
so mad about games. This is the stuff.
about where we've been,
And 2013,
about where we're
people are
going.
clamoring for, supposedly.
Still as beautiful as I remember.
Microsoft
Dreams will start.
About the people we meet along the way.
Oh, hello, sir.
Narrative shifted.
Welcome to Carl's Pumpkin Mart.
And now the AAA games are
Hey, what are you doing to my van?
the gaming media.
What does it look like? I'm fixing it.
The things we discover.
I don't know.
I can fight it.
Hey, what are you doing out there?
And the things we leave behind. What?
How will your story end, Alfie?
Xbox Series X. Oh, that's not a good thing. No, that's cool. This game looks awesome, man. I love Annapurna. I wish Microsoft would have bought them. Right. Plus, they fill a gap that that I feel Microsoft needs. You know, again, when we were going off, when Phil was taking over, man, one of the things looking at with Game Pass was just content, right? They needed the content, and they just don't need just stuff just to have it. Like you see what happens with Netflix, right? Like just stuff to plug in, which they need to do. I mean, Xbox with Game Pass, but they need the variety and the quality. And Annapurna, man, they've been I mean punching out the content, the quality of the content has just gotten better every year. Like, and they go off the beaten path, and you need that, man. You need that. That's just, you know, and of course, it's not going to be the million sellers that a lot of people are looking for and stuff like that. But if Microsoft is going to invest, I support them and keep on doing that. Frog Squad, Grave Seasons, another great one. Or another one.
I'm writing this from our old cell, my friend. Your departure caused quite the commotion back home. But I'm proud of you for making it out when you got the chance. I've sent this letter to the address I once knew. That empty old farm up in the mountains. Ashen Ridge is a good, humble town with good people in it. Warm, welcoming, but not too inquisitive.
And this is interesting because I love this art style, and it's, you know, popular. You know, like if you go look at Hades, when Hades came out, they're the one that kind of trumpeted this look. Like regardless of what but the characters in Hades look more closer than their counterparts. But everybody's doing it now, which I have no problem with. And normally I'm gonna have a hard time with 8-bit, but it's like it's more of a tribute to 8-bit than actually making it 8-bit style. Like you can tell a lot, the graphics are a lot better, a little bit more clear. But this is like Coral Island does this, and other games do this as well. That's what happens when things become a trend.
I have fond memories of that place. I hope you can make a few of your own. But be wary. You'll reap what you sow. You've always had a knack for figuring things out. That resourcefulness will keep you out of trouble, or land you right in the middle of it. Take an old man's advice. Keep busy, lay low. Idle hands are the devil's playground. Make something of yourself, for yourself, while you still can.
And I think this is coming through. This is a demo. This should be on Game Pass. Yeah, it is right there. Game Pass. Yeah, see, just do that. Xbox, just Xbox. This game right here, really looking forward to it. That's the first game. Everything about it. You know, it's not just like the art. Also the music, which is the most important, in my opinion.
In the name of Hades, let's begin.
Let's see how strong you really are.
I cannot stop Kronos on my own.
See, that's what sold me on this, the first game. Is this design. And then the stories are good too.
Will you aid
Based on
me?
mythology. Oh shoot. Based on Greek mythology. So they took some of the people, man, and they upgraded them, but in a good way. I think. It's just like in the first one, man. They have what's his name, dude? The guy, the one that's considered the. I can't think of his name. Dang it. Hephaestus. But anyway, usually this one god, he's like the god of seasons and harvests and stuff like that. But normally when they portray him, he's usually fat or jolly, right? Because that's a sign of being bountiful, being plenty, right? They usually do a character design. This dude, they made him like he was like like he worked out in the gym, which was kind of cool. Because when you hear the story behind it, but that's another thing too. When you have the story, because this is probably Mercury right here, definitely Zeus, right? I wonder if she's gonna actually deal with more the gods on a more personal level. That's Ares, I guess. Is that Apollo? Hera. Yeah, see, just love this character artwork, the design.
Your power now is yours.
And see, this is a roguelike, which I don't really play a lot of them. I mean, I don't have a problem with them, but not my cup of tea. I mean, I have like yes, I'm not saying it's my go-to, right? But Hades had me hooked, the first one.
They're going to love this.
Oh, who's that? Who's that? Did he give me? What's this?
They're going to love this.
You will shine so bright it hurts.
Why are you here?
Vengeance for my family.
That's how good the music is too. Music on the soundtrack for the first game was awesome. Game Pass. Game Pass as well. Hey, what's up, Toman? Sorry, I was on the other screen. What's up, brother? Anthony says, "What's up?" Yeah, Toman, dude, that was a great showcase. I said earlier the only knock I had on it was showing all the systems it's going to be on. I just want them to start focusing on Xbox from now on. Could care less if it's going to any other system except the one I own and the one that I use and the ecosystem that I support and the services I'm subscribed to that I pay $30 a month for. Not just one $30, I pay for my daughters as well. So they're getting like $60 a month from me. Well, sorry, Hades 2 looked. This look pretty cool, man. Hunter the Reckoning, right? Because it's an older game. I guess they're revisiting that. Not big on horror games, I'll tell you guys that. But even though I say that in Musa, dude, I'm going to be looking forward to this, dude. I'm glad to see like Korean developers are coming into the market and they're basing it on their own history and stuff. This game looks cool. I can't wait to play this one. Serious Sam, that's a pretty cool trailer. I'm not I played Serious Sam, I'm not a big fan. We'll see how it goes. So Stalker 2, I did not notice left Game Pass. I feel so bad. I think I played it for a little bit and got distracted by something else. Again, Stranger in Heaven, we already looked at that one. Dude, that was my game. I have to say, this is probably my game of the show. Easily. Super Meat Boy, this looks cool. I don't know how well I'm going to do in a 3D environment. We'll check it out because I think that's on Game Pass as well. Vaunted looked pretty cool. This one right here, Weathering Waves, dude. I had to tell my daughter. Genshin Impact. She's a huge fan of these type of.
No matter what we say, the
Maybe I can
choice still
translate this
has to
one.
be
I'm not
yours.
good at it. I have to get back to it.
The opposite of the void. How far can memory type resonators go before its power consumes them?
I mean, there was some issues.
At worst, this anomaly might be tied to the power of the Trinodian too. It seems they're already preparing their next phase.
I might
Even if
actually
what
hire a
choose
robot.
ends up making things
Pay it
worse,
up.
even then, it'll be okay. At least we've tried our best till the end.
It's her fault.
No rush. Go see it for yourself.
Someday, we'll meet again.
Cluster cannon ready. The savior rises.
My scalpel catches your appetite.
Straight to the stars.
Really? Go after it. I'll handle the rest.
Yeah, that's the other thing they talked about. Since it's coming to Xbox now, it's gonna be on Game Pass, and they're gonna give us exclusive content. They did that with Genshin Impact, which was pretty cool. Nothing major though. Don't get your hopes up. What else? Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I said, 9 out of 10. Easily. Easy 9 out of 10 for me. Oh, I mean, I'm not sure if a lot of people got a chance to watch it. It was kind of, I'm not saying it was last minute, but the announcement was pretty quick, right? I don't know if they were debating whether to show it, because I'm wondering if they're going to do like a full-on have the developers come in. But normally those are smaller, right? And again, like I said, right? Look how, even if it was thrown together at the last minute, that's what I'm talking about when it comes to Microsoft and Xbox, right? That they can do this, right? So again, this is the ability that they have, So why not do that with everything that you do, right? Like I'm telling you, man, they could literally they could bring back E3 and they just be an E3, right? Because this is just 15 games. They have so much games in the works. They didn't even touch on their own titles that they have coming out this year, and it's a big year, of course. I know, right? It's their anniversary year, right? So I would do it big, man. I would love to see them like do E3. Like do an E3 throwback for 2026, but just to be Xbox, dude. They could have like for like the opening night, dude, they could just talk about the Xbox, the brand, reiterate the Helix, talk about the new controllers, have whatever announcements they have on the hardline side as far as the Xbox brand, like reestablish that the first night. Then the second night, if they have any acquisitions, they can go over that, showcase specific, right? Developers, like for example, the rumors of the Fallout being redone, all that kind of stuff. Right? Acquisitions, if they get anybody new, and you need new partnerships, man, and then just the rest of it, just like how a typical E3 is, where they go around, they can do interviews, they can go on the show floor, they can talk to the developers, the publishers, right? They could do mini events, they could do whatever they want to, right? Because they have that ability, man. Again, you just see how fast they. Like, so example, man, I don't know if they made any changes, if this was on the books, but it seems like they just did it kind of at the last minute, right? And I get it, right? The messaging, trying to change the narrative, right? Speak, so to quote, or so to speak, trying to change that narrative, right, to get people back on board. But again, follow through, guys. Like, that's my suggestion to you guys. It's more than just these announcements. These are great, right? You guys are doing so far so good, but you're gonna have to address the cancer that's in this gaming community, and that cancer is Sony, right? Until you can, and the gaming media, man, there's no way to, don't beat around the bush with this stuff, man. Get in there, right? Get it done. Take the lumps now, man, and then make the industry a better place for all the gamers, right? But especially for us Xbox guys. Dude, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up. I didn't realize it's been an hour, and I got stuff to do, and I got some games that I want to play. I got what was it? What's today's date? Dang, it's the 28th. So I got a couple of days to try and finish up my 8 Game Pass monthly. Right, you gotta do 8 games. And the great thing about it is there are a lot of games I want to play. So I'm gonna try that side scroller. Go upstairs and try that side scroller. Get my 15 minutes in, cover my big points for that, as well as add another notch in the 8 games per month Game Pass points, bonus points. All right. So hey, Anthony Chipmunk, man, thanks for being here, brother. Toman, thanks for stopping in. And everybody else who popped in and out, I saw people. My number count was going up and down. I know, guys. Look, this is just the way I got to do it, man. 'Cause I got stuff to do, and things pop up, and new job, and new responsibilities. Getting drowned in the middle of the Pacific Ocean with torrential rains. All of the above, man. Car note, or gotta get my car done. Registration to do, man. That's ridiculous, dude. In the state of Hawaii, every year we gotta pay for car registration, which is stupid. At least if I own the car, man, I should not be having to register with it every year. But blue state, what can I tell you? Anyway, man, Xbox On channel, host Sega Forever. We